What are we waiting for?
We scoping the place out, man. We ain't gonna just run up in there. That's how you get shot.
Say that again. You are. Wow. Ooh. Yeah. What is it good for? Absolutely
Man, you don't know nothing about no war.
Everybody knows war. Who? Yeah. What it is it good for? Absolutely nothing. Good God, you all.
It ain't you all, it's y'all.
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 Man, you sound like a karate movie. Y'all.
Yo.
Say it from right here with some soul. Y'all.
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 Let me show your goofy ass how to do this. What is it good for? Absolutely nothing. Yeah. What is it good for? Absolutely nothing. Come on.
Giants fans, what's going on? We appreciate you sticking through our long intros here. Tonight, Truth and I are breaking down the top defensive tackles in the 2024 NFL Draft. Lots to talk about in terms of really the need here for defensive tackle, and if the Giants might get one of these guys. Let me bring in Truth first and foremost. Truth, what's going on?
What's going on, Spartan?
What's going on, Truth? This is the episode for the real football gurus, like the ones that really love to hone in and watch the tape, right? So, we cover quarterbacks. Everybody's interested in quarterbacks, Defensive tackle, it's not a sexy position. No offense to defensive tackle. I'm not commenting, of course, on how the appearance of defensive tackles.
Right.
Dexter Lawrence is a very handsome gentleman. All right, I rest my case
Good
there.
dancer too, right?
Absolutely. But, defensive tackles, even though it's not that high-end position that we all, look forward to, highly touted about, everything like that, we still got to discuss it. I know another thing that might be weighing it down in terms of interest, in terms of evaluating from the Giants fan side, is of all the positions on the field, outside of maybe middle linebacker, this might be the one position that the Giants don't end up drafting as far as a defensive tackle is concerned, just because the defensive scheme is a 3-4. Now, some of these might guys that are D tackles in a 4-3 might somehow fit a 3-4, so we'll see what happens here, but that's to be talked about later on. Truth, give me your thoughts on, the defensive tackle situation with the Giants. Go ahead.
Well, the Giants are going to have, of course, they got Dexter Lawrence, and in the last 2 years they did draft two defensive tackles on day 3 in Davison and Riley. And I thought Riley did really well last year as a rookie, and Davison does well when he's healthy. He has had injuries the last 2 seasons, and we don't know if they're going to bring back Robertson, who had an okay year, but he is someone who maybe, he made $5 million last year. Who knows what it might cost this year? Maybe the Giants might get a rookie or something a little bit lower cost to offset that. So, I think it's just me that if the free agency market doesn't dictate it for them for getting a defensive lineman, I think they will probably draft one. But again, I think we'll be on day 3.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And see, that's really what it comes down to. We're going to go through the top dudes, but really the most important homework here in terms of how it relates to the Giants is going to be those, day 3 guys, right? So I don't know about you, Truth. I'm ready to start from the top. I'm just going to go with the best of the best. I'm not expecting these guys to go above, top 12. So these dudes might end up on a good team, but similar to the George Karlaftis situation, right? If you're a late first rounder going to a good team, you might be in a better situation, right? And again, I always watch like the Steelers, the Ravens, teams like those, because when they draft these players a little bit later, they tend to blossom. So let's start first and foremost with the Texas defensive tackle, Byron Murphy. It looks like he's slated to be the top pick defensive tackle in the NFL draft. And what he does is so special that gives him this grade. His overpowering ability of the interior offensive lineman. If he's going against one of the smaller guys like JMS, they really struggle to hold up. It takes a lot of he also takes a lot of focus multiple linemen, and he creates opportunities similar to Leonard Williams. What he does is he takes up so much capacity and bandwidth of the offensive line of the opposing team. He actually creates opportunities for other players behind him to go in there and make plays. And I know, and listen, me and Craig always argued about Leonard Williams, but the one good point that he always had was that, all right, he's not getting a ton of, sacks, tackles, whatever you have it, but he is creating a lot of opportunities for other players to make plays. And that's a fair point. If you just watch highlight tape, you're not able to just see that with Byron Murphy. But, if you look at overall how the defense performs because of him, he really is a special player. He breaks up the run game at the goal line. So, 4th and 1, he really disrupts the offensive line. He's not excellent at tackling the backfield, but it's more of like he's stuffing the entire offensive line. And then from there, the running back's being held up, and the quarterback, they can't do the QB sneak. So it'd be super helpful, especially against a team like Philadelphia. We have to play twice a year. Couple things he has to work on. Tackling. His tackling form is pretty lousy. I mean, that's something that can definitely be worked. What?
No, I like the way you say it's pretty lousy.
It's pretty lousy. It's just relatively. It's relatively. But again, I'm always a stickler. Yeah, you're right. Relatively lousy. I don't have better form than the dude. But, I saw a lot of arm tackles with him. And you can get away with it in college a little bit more at the NFL level, but it's not going to translate too well. So he's going to have to clean that up. That's something that can be coached. So that's why it's like, it doesn't weigh him down too much. And then the other one I have is his footwork is not excellent. When I think of a guy like Warren Sapp, he's so light on his feet, and that ability to kind of move around sideways and whatnot. He's just a little bit clunky. And that's something that's going to have to clean up as well. But other than that, I mean, he is a phenomenal force on the defensive line. And if you want a good defensive lineman as a team, that's a need for you, then this is the guy that you want to go with. What are your thoughts, Truth? And by the way, he's a 4-3 defensive tackle.
That's right. I was just going to say that he may not fit what the Giants would do, but again, he's going to be going probably mid to late first round. And like you said, he's not overly big, 6'1", 308, 305, but he's quick and he is strong. So that's how he neutralizes the offensive lineman, through the quickness and the strength level. Stays low off the snap, which I like about him.
Yeah.
And when I watch a lot of his reps, he pursues well, doesn't give up on the play, which is something that I like to see in a lineman or any defensive player, not giving up on the play. So, but he's definitely a tech 3 kind of guy, a 3 tech player that the Giants definitely need that. And we're going to talk more about that for the defensive line. I think they needed a 3 tech more, because they got the middle kind of like secure with Dexter Lawrence and even Riley, who might even be moved outside. I think Riley might be moved around because he showed he could do that last year.
You're right.
So,
yeah, I mean, we talk about D tackle, right? And it gets confusing because some people think, we talk Giants, like D end is the 3-4, the 2 guys on the outside. Really, it's 3 tech. It's a little bit complicated because there are different terms for it.
right.
And it's complicated because some of these guys that are 4-3 D tackles are actually 3-4 defensive ends. And you look at a guy like this, that's pretty athletic, and they would make that transition, of course. And that's where we are with the Giants, right? As you said, we got the nose tackle secured, but the D ends or whatever, the 3 techs, those need upgrading eventually. If there's anything on the defense, it's like immediate, like we need it. If Xavier McKinney is back next season, then it's certainly the defensive ends they have to secure. The D tack, the 3 tech, So, Mark, not good for a defensive tackle to not be a good tackler. I agree. I mean, did you see that issue with him too, Truth?
Oh, being a poor tackler?
Yeah, he's too high and he's doing arm tackles.
I didn't see that as much as you did, but that's fine. What I kind of saw in him was somebody who didn't give up on the plays, and I mean, that's what I like about him.
Oh yeah, no, he doesn't give up, and he's not. I mean, dude's not even like the fast. He's pretty athletic. He's not the fastest guy in the world, but he did chase guys down from behind. I mean, he doesn't give up on a play. That's phenomenal. But I fear the bad tackling and we're really here to talk about the player, not the Giants. And I tend to overlap it, but I always think in terms of the Giants, the tackling was so poor last year that when I look at a prospect like this, like and there's one guy I'm going to go over that's just an excellent tackler. But it's just something I don't want to see anymore because I get so sick of it. Carl Banks gets sick of it. Craig gets sick of it. We all get sick of it. Paul, yeah, he's a phenomenal run stopper. Absolutely great. If you missed it earlier, Paul, what we were kind of going over is he blows up the offensive line pretty well. He takes a lot of resources to get to him or to try to contain him. But on the goal line, I mean, he's a phenomenal player. All right. On to the next dude, Chris Jenkins out of Michigan. So here's a guy that has that footwork that I'm talking about, right? He's got that Warren Sapp like light on his feet, easy to shift. Very, very good. He breaks double coverage with ease. Check it out, guys. If you can, look up his highlight tapes. And there's multiple times where he's getting double covered by the offensive linemen from various Big Ten schools that are all very good. And he just does a great job of blowing it up. He can make very challenging tackles. A lot of them are out of reach. So not necessarily like blowing up the running back or any crazy hits, but it's more of like, if somebody seems like they're out of his range, he does much better than most defensive tackles I've ever seen in terms of being able to get them at the last second or anything like that. And the tape that I saw, he does it multiple times. He's also a very, very talented stuntman, if you will. I don't know if that's the proper term, but on defensive stunts, I mean, he's very good at confusing.
They did that a lot, Michigan. Yeah, they did that a lot of stunts.
They do that a lot. That's part of the reason they brought Wink into the mix to keep the congruency of that defense. I don't know if you heard that Michigan got him as the defensive coordinator.
Yeah, I did. I did.
So he's very talented, but what he might lack, in my opinion, is he doesn't really get that force in like Byron Byron Murphy does. And the other thing is, he's a great tackler in terms of the range and whatnot. But I mean, I don't really see too many plays where he calls tackles for a loss and whatnot. But again, keeps his head on a swivel and he evaluates the back of the field, sees where the play is going, and he pursues, and he does a pretty good job. But just that whole classic blow up the offensive line, cut through, and just knock somebody out like 4 yards behind the line of scrimmage. Didn't really see too much of that. So a little bit of work to do for him, but I mean, still a talented player. Do you have any thoughts on him?
Well, yeah, I think if you look at his overall game, he's definitely way above in the run stuffing ability and as a pass rusher. He did a good job last year in that he pursued well. He's got a high motor. He's going to be going in that second round. And listen, the Giants did happen to draft him. I wouldn't be upset. I mean, the guy can play. He can play.
Oh, yeah. No, absolutely. Jenkins learns from his pops.
Yeah, his father played for. Isn't that? Someone help me out. Is that the same Jenkins that played with the Eagles and Giants? Is that the guy I'm thinking of?
Chris Jenkins was he was a defensive tackle for the Carolina Panthers from 2000.
Oh, that Jenkins was his dad.
Yeah, from 2001 to 2007, and then 2008 to 2010, he played for the Jets. Yeah, I'm not familiar with this player, but 2 All-Pros in the early 2000s with the Panthers.
Yeah, now I know. When you said Panthers, I thought he was the son of the other Jenkins that Giants had, and he also played with the Eagle. That's what I was thinking of.
Yeah, and this dude's from Michigan, but he's from a town right over from Ann Arbor, but he ended up going to Maryland, which is a little odd. Okay.
Yeah, wow. How did that happen?
I don't know nearly enough about this dude. So who brought this one up? Cold. Thank you for bringing this one up. Yeah, Panthers has
some cool little facts he throws in there.
No, that helps, man. I had no idea that he had a dad that played in the NFL. It's interesting. We talk about how good the Panthers or the Ravens are at drafting. Do you remember the Panthers in the 2000s? They were they were a brand new team in 1995, but by the 2000s, they were kind of rolling, and they were doing a great job of talent evaluation.
Yeah.
Just classic. And I remember by 2010, and they were pitter-pattering in the 2010s, but like by 2010, I remember they consistently had like the highest rate of players on the team that were draft picks. Like they kept their guys throughout all the drafts. So it was pretty cool. But yeah, Jenkins was a beast back in his day. Yeah, no. So I got to look his dad up because I would imagine, well, maybe his play is a little similar. Obviously, That's not always the case. The Manning brothers didn't inherit their father's speed, so I'm going to have to take a look. But yeah, Chris Jenkins, good player for sure. He's probably going to go in the late first, early second. That's what I would project him to be. Here's the player that I thought was probably the best pass rusher, Michael Hall Jr. out of Ohio State. So what I liked over, with him is he consistently improved throughout college. And every time I see that there's some sort of consistency in the building of his game, means that I feel like there's like even a little bit more that he can still chip away at. And he was already at a very good level last year for Ohio State.
Mhm.
So he has an incredible burst off the offensive line and overpowers the offensive lineman. And he has like super athletic prowess as well. And he has a mix of, beating the offensive lineman in the gut and beating the offensive lineman with athletic moves like swim moves and whatnot. I mean, he's very, very talented at getting to the quarterback. I'm a stickler for run stuffers right now, just with the state of how the Giants did against the run last year. But man, my God, I mean, he kind of reminds me of Barry Caulfield a little bit, in terms of his ability to get back there. I mean, because we had, remember those 4-3 defenses with Spags with
Yeah.
the Super Bowl winning team. I mean, those interior defensive linemen still contributed a superb amount to the pass rush game, and that's what this dude did. He is a phenomenal football player. He's projected to go in round, similar to Chris Jenkins, likely round 2.
Yeah.
Couple things he's got to work on. Again, there's a tackling aspect to his game. Mobile quarterbacks were dancing around him anytime he faced one of those. He doesn't have the ability to kind of shift around as much, so it's a footwork issue. And then tackling as well. I mean, sometimes he would get to the quarterback, and again, if they dance a little bit, they get out of his range of tackling, and that's definitely a couple of the aspects of the game that were missing there. But again, I mean, blowing up the offensive line with a combination of athletic ability and force was very impressive with this dude. Do you agree with me, Truth? You have like the same. I mean, sometimes I just go through the players. I'm like, man, I can't believe this guy's projected to be as low as he is. I mean, what are your thoughts on Michael Hall?
Well, yeah, he is a little bit undersized, and in terms of defense tackles, he's under 300 pounds. He's 290. That's what it says on the player guide. But he has such good technique, and that's how he wins his battles. Quickness, like you mentioned, off the ball, off the snap, how quick he is. Again, another kid, I like him. He kind of reminds me of the other guy we were talking about, Jenkins. He's got a good pursuit, and he doesn't give up on the play. He plays to the whistle, and especially in the trenches, I like seeing that. Especially with defensive, offensive linemen, they play to the whistle. Because battles are won and lost in the trenches.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm trying to look through the comments right now, Truth, as we were going through that. And man, the comment section is popping tonight because I have to scroll up. Like I lost one of the comments. Yeah, Jay, this is the defensive end for OSU, and he's very talented himself. They had a very good defensive line this past year, which, the last few years they've traditionally been a little bit more of a passing.
He'll be in our DE and edge show.
We'll go over him then, but he doesn't fit the mold for tonight's show. But yeah, no, I mean, again, I really liked his ability. If he somehow slips to the third, I really wouldn't mind the Giants going after him. He would help the pass.
He could.
Superb, and he's athletic too.
Yeah.
All right, so the next guy I want to go over is Johnny Newton. Illinois over the past several years has, even though they weren't really good in the win-loss column last year, they do develop really good defensive players. There were a couple secondary guys that you and I went over with Illinois last year, Truth. Johnny Newton's just a very prototypical dominant big defensive tackle. So he's been a big force for Illinois over the last few years. He's an excellent tackler. He's extremely hard to block due to his size, and we're talking power. I mean, he's definitely number one. And the other thing that he does that's especially key, and man, Wing really would like to do it like this, is he causes fumbles too. He has a very good ability in turning over the ball. So that was just very unique. Like he seemed to have that knack when he would go for the tackle. He was a superb tackler, and he would still find ways to punch out the ball. And I think how this dude tackles, should kind of be like a study for other defenses in really all across football, because generally what happens is either you go for the ball, tackle as well, or you're tackling, that's the main focus. And then, the focus isn't the ball. So you can't create turnovers. But this dude has a unique ability to do both. What are your thoughts on him?
Well, here's another 3-tech kind of lineman here. And, in 2022, he had a very good year. He had over 650 snaps and over 50 pressures. And I think a lot of that was because the teams didn't know about him so much. Last year, those numbers were down a little bit. I think because they focused on him.
Yeah.
To try to stop him. He had 6 sacks 2 years ago, 4 sacks last year. I like him. I think he could end up being a better pro than a college player. I think he has all the little tangibles you'd like to see in a player. He got a little mean streak in him, which is kind of nice to see. Playing against very good teams in this conference, and Illinois is not really known as a powerhouse. So,
no. But look, I mean, he played against Michigan a couple of years ago, and they had one of the best offensive lines in football, and he really had a phenomenal game. So, I mean, he is very talented. Real quick, Neil Feeden, I haven't seen you on the show before, and I see
he's new.
Illinois.
Welcome, Neil.
Yeah, Neil, welcome on out here, man. Where are you from in Illinois? Because I'm in Chicago, by the way. Just put that in the comments section.
Don't put that street address.
What are your thoughts on it? Yeah, put your street address and social security number, and your credit card number too.
Look at this guy. What's he saying here?
We're re-signing Leo. Nobody knows but me. It's not off the. I mean, look, we can't. I mean, it's not going to happen. I wouldn't imagine with the money, but I mean, it would be funny if they did. Right? They trade him, get a 3rd round pick, and just sign him back anyway.
Yeah, that would be.
Yeah. Springfield. All right. Springfield Giants fan. Hell yeah, Neil. So, yeah, you're right around Illinois.
Is that where Bart Simpson lives? Springfield, Illinois?
He's from Springfield, but they've never disclosed the state in the show. They keep that a mystery.
I thought they did. I thought it was Springfield. I don't know why I thought that.
It is. That's the name of the town, but they don't they keep it vague as to the state that they're in. They always like.
Oh, okay.
It's a huge like fan theory in the Simpsons universe. Like, which state is it? So funny you bring that one up, but yeah, no, he is a terrific defensive tackle, just a prototypical one. And again, the tackling and the fumbling causing abilities is really, really good. He's very talented,
and he could go late in the 1st round.
He could, he could. And that one all depends on how he does at the combine.
Yep. Which is coming up right this week.
It is. That's right. Craig bought our first class tickets, and we're going to go there.
Are you really? You're going?
I was saying Craig was getting us tickets, you and me.
Oh yeah, right.
Yeah.
Aren't you going?
I'm not going to the combine. I'm going to the draft.
Oh, the draft. That's right. It'll be exciting. That should be exciting. going to the draft and everything.
Yeah, no, we'll be live, and for whoever's there, I mean, I'm super pumped.
Are you going to do the show while you're there? You're going to be on. You're going to be on live?
I'm going to go live for a little bit. Like, I won't do it like this, but I'll probably just go like live stream on my phone and then blow it up on Twitter and whatnot. Talk to a few fans and whatnot.
Okay. All
right. So next dude, Mekhi Wingo from Louisiana State. When I look through the guys that are projected to go top, I mean, the one thing that he does, I mean, he gets off the ball super fast, and better than nearly anyone that I saw. But I don't have anything like that particularly stood out to me about this guy. He had a little bit of a problem shedding blocks. His footwork was a little slow, and he didn't collapse the pocket that much, which is kind of what I wanted to see out of a defensive lineman. He does keep his head on a swivel. He definitely does a good job of that. And he does make plays in the run game that can affect downfield passes. So he will run to the out route running back and whatnot, and he does a good job of stopping those types of plays from developing, which is kind of unique because that's a little bit – I mean, that's very difficult to do. But I wasn't too in love with this player. But tell me if you felt differently about Mekhi.
No, he's a good player. He's a good player, and he'll probably go in day 3, I think, somewhere in day 3 in the draft. I wouldn't say nothing really stood out when I watched watched him a little bit. There's actually a guy on his team that I have on my list that nobody's talking about, and I want to talk about him. But I think Wingo, I think he'll find a way. He'll find his way on an NFL roster, and again, it'll be up to him to either make a team or not. But, I think he's an okay player. I'll just leave it as that.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, and I never want to like harp if I don't find them worthwhile, I don't want to like harp on it because, I wasn't high at all on Karl Aftis when he came out, and, Lord knows I was wrong about that one. We'll see what happens with this dude. Again, I want all these guys to do well, but like for what I saw, I wasn't like the most impressed. So next guy I want to go over is Braden Fisk out of Florida State. He's projected to go into the mid rounds, and I actually really, really like this player. He's explosive. What? You're laughing at me again, Truth. What the hell's going on?
I'm not laughing at you. I'm thinking. I'm trying to think of the guy the Giants had a long time ago, who went to the Indianapolis Colts. He was a defensive end, but he came up and had a pretty good productive year for the Giants and left on a good contract. Someone remembers this guy's name. I can't remember. Can you remember?
What year do you think it was?
Oh, that had to be. I think that had to be maybe the late 90s. Guys, if you're out there, he went to the Indianapolis Colts on a free agency, was a good role lineman for the Giants, made some sacks. For some reason, this guy here reminds me of him for some reason when I watch him play.
Yeah, if anybody has that name, throw it in there.
He's a little big. He's obviously bigger than this guy.
You know what, Mark? You're right. We should be doing that one more often for the sake of this player, for the sake of Fisk. He's a day 3 guy most likely. Yeah, fourth round is what this dude's projected to go. He could go in the 3rd round though.
Yeah, Wingo's like a 4th rounder. That's what I'm guessing because of the.
No, not Wingo. Fisk. I'm with you with Wingo. Wingo's going to go a lot later.
Yeah. Fisk. I have Fisk as a 3rd round.
You do have him as the 3rd round. Okay.
I do. What do you have him at?
4th round. And like when I go Walter Football and all the other sites that kind of like organizes where he's probably going to go, they kind of had him around there too. But I got to double check because maybe some of them had 3rd round. But I saw day 3 is what they call it.
It all depends. It all depends how the draft board falls. But I don't know if you're done yet about him. But he's another guy, a 3 tech. He can come play for the Giants, and he could very well slide into early day 3.
Absolutely. Look, what I love about him, again, is the explosiveness. He creates a ton of negative plays, both with the backfield with the quarterback and the running back. He's a fan favorite at Florida State. Super fast against the offensive line. Great with stunts, and he can chase down players as well. Tackling does need to be cleaned up a little bit, which, again, it's something that can be worked on. I'm confident in it. And he is not as effective against the run game in terms of consistency. Holds up pass games a little bit more than run games. So what about what's that?
He is a little older, right? I think he's 24.
Let me see.
I think.
Age. 24. Yeah, you're right.
But listen, look, if he plays through his rookie deal and does well for a team, that's fine. That's a good value pick in the late early day 3. It's fine.
He was at Western for a few years before he went over to Florida State, so we're Western Michigan. So that's why he only had 1 year at Florida State, but he did ball out this past year. So I like this player, and if he falls to the 4th somehow, and we're past several rounds, I would love for this dude to come on the team. Anybody that's a playmaker beyond round 3, let's do it. I'm in. Yeah. So I'm a big fan. Do you have any further comments on before we move to some of your guys?
No, I like him too. He's got that blue collar mentality where he plays and that high motor nonstop.
He's from Michigan City, Indiana, which is a blue collar town. So he is that.
That's the kind of guy you like to have in the trenches, don't you?
Absolutely. Yeah. What occupation was your father? Steel mill,
Yeah.
get the drafted, immediate second
That's it.
rounder. That's it, man.
A lumberjack, you're
Oh
drafted.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. You know, uh, but anyway, we can move on to your guys here. Tavondre Sweat. So he's a pretty damn good player. What are your thoughts on him? And he played alongside Murphy there.
Yeah, and
He's
here's
not
a
the only
guy
one, by
who,
the way. We got another guy that we got a couple double downers here that played on the same
Yep.
team. But yeah, give me your thoughts on Sweat.
well, look, here's a guy who there's no chance in heck that the Giants are going to draft with Dexter Lawrence. I don't think they will. This guy is strictly right over the center. He's a two down player. You're not going to see him on many third down passing downs, but he is a beast against the run. He's a big body to move. Usually when I watch the games, they usually try to double team him to move him so they can create running space between the tackles. That's his main thing. He is a pure run stuffer. Run stuffer.
Well, this is pretty interesting. So if his frame and game is a little bit more similar to Dexter Lawrence, then I'm a little intrigued. Like I find it interesting that Texas ran a 4.3 then.
Yeah, I don't know why either. I don't know why either. He's guy's big. He's 6'4", 262. Is that Dexter Lawrence size? That's even bigger than Dexter Lawrence.
Yeah, I'd have to imagine.
So, but I just think he's just limited, between the tackles. That's his area of where he needs to worry about. Make his tackles inside those trenches. That's it. 2 downs. I'm not to say he's not a good player. Not to say he's not worth it. I think he's worth a late day 2 pick for the right team.
Yeah.
But I can see if he goes later because of the depth on the other positions in this draft, which we've talked about already. It wouldn't surprise me. But he's a good player, and he will find a team, and he will do well in the NFL.
Yeah. I mean, 262, he might be one of the heaviest players in the NFL at that weight.
He might be. I didn't really focus on that stuff, but yeah, he might be.
Yeah, for sure. We don't body shame anybody here. And that certainly was what I was going at. I was like, man, 362, this dude's got to be that's got to be up there because, I guess nose tackles are generally the biggest dudes on the field. So you're right. I mean, he'd be a 3-tech nose tackle, no doubt about it. But man, he's a big dude.
And Spartan, again, you mentioned this earlier. We have the combines coming up, and who knows if this guy does something on the 3-cone drill, because that's big with the linemen. 3-cone, I think, is the most impressive drill in the combine for linemen, especially on defense. If he does well in that, it could enhance his draft.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And real quick, just want to give a shout out to everybody here. Mark, what's going on, man? Dex is huge. You're right. Paul, what's going on, brother? Appreciate you coming on out. Mark, as always. Crypto, what's going on, man? Appreciate you coming through. Tudo, as always, you are always on point here, man. We appreciate it. And Neil, just once again, want to say thank you for coming through as somebody who's new here. Elite 4, Master Will, appreciate you coming in as well, man. I don't think I've seen your name before, but again, appreciate it all, guys. So, yeah, where the hell was I with this player? Not completely now. Well,
we talk about how big he is, and someone's saying Dexter is huge. He is huge, Mark. I see it, Mark here, but I think they said he was 242 now. 342. He lost some weight, Dexter.
Yeah, good for him.
Good for him. This guy, Sweat, is definitely not a 3-tech defensive lineman.
Yeah, no, he can't. Shit. Now, the next guy possibly could. Ruka Orhorno.
I've been watching film on him.
Did you learn how to say his name? Because I'm
going to try. It's pronounced Aroa.
Aurora. Okay.
Aroa. Like say then the word ro. Aro. That's how it sounds like when they talk about him on the highlights. That's a tough one though. That's a tough tongue twister.
Yeah. No. For
so
sure.
this guy here, I like him first of all from Clemson. Definitely a 3-tech. I think he could be an excellent NFL player. I think he's
Yeah.
a good run stuffer. He did a great job at Clemson against the run, and he also did good in rushing the pass. He had 6.5 sacks last year. That's not too bad. And he was their featured defensive lineman, so you got to think that they were being keyed on. He was being keyed on.
Wait, say that last
Yeah,
part?
that's a good one, Jay. I saw
Well,
Jay's comment.
Thought there was like a punchline I missed. I'm like, what? My dog says his name and I can't. Aurora. Yeah.
But this guy here, Aurora, he does well against the run, fairly well a pass rusher, which I don't think will be his key when you get to the NFL. And he's got good size, 6'4", 303. He can move. And I definitely want to keep my eye on him during the combine. I want to see how he runs his 40. I want to see him in the cone drills. I want to see how he moves. That could definitely enhance his draft.
Yeah.
Right now, they project him late day 2. Would the Giants draft a guy, a defensive lineman, in day 2? They could, but Joe Shane in the last 2 years for the Giants has waited till round 3 to draft a defensive lineman.
If it was Dave Gettleman, he'd be a little bit more prone to draft a defensive lineman in the first. I say that jokingly, but also truthfully.
Yes, but you're right, though.
Yeah.
You're right. Dave Gettleman did do that. Yes.
Yeah, if Gettleman was our GM, this might be the most important show. Oh, man.
But he's a player. He's a player. Plays hard. I like a lot of these guys. They play hard. They don't give up on the play. I like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
He's from Michigan originally. He's from he's from the eastern side of the state. But what I find interesting is, we always talk about it's talked about a lot with Samoa, how many NFL players they produce. But Rook is Nigerian, and man, Nigerian NFL players are a massive demographic.
And they are.
They produce a ton of players from that country that, obviously they're in the United States first. So generally their parents moved over. They moved over when they were very young. But, it's definitely a growing demographic. And, between, areas in Texas and whatnot, I mean, you just see so many Nigerians now getting drafted. So it's really awesome to see that, that whole pipeline as it's developed, because, I mean, this doesn't go back all that far, I mean, you go back to who was the running back for the Chiefs back in the 1990s?
Oh, the big Nigerian nightmare. What was his name?
Night Train. Yeah. I'm going to draw a blank, but, this all doesn't go back that long ago, as I'm saying, like a few decades. And now it's like a huge, it really is becoming pretty incredible. So, awesome to see that continue. Just no doubt about it. And Mark, good point. OC is a Nigerian pipeline person himself.
That's right.
I thought OC spent some time in London, though, because I thought he actually had a British accent because of how long his family lived in the United Kingdom for. But yes, again, another Nigerian background, and then Christian Okoye. That's who it was.
That's it. Yeah,
that was it. And he left. He worked in the medical field, but he in the long run. But he left the NFL because he was bored. Isn't that the craziest story? He was like, "Yeah, I don't really like this." And I'm like, man,
it's a tough sport, Spartan, right? You got to really get motivated to play football. You really can't just go out there and kind of half-ass it, right?
No, you can't. And I'm sure this dude never did, but Christian Okoye. But it's just so funny because I've just never heard that. Everybody else is like, I've been wanting to play my whole life. I love the game, but to him, just be like, you know what? I'd really rather just be a medical doctor or whatever Okoye went into. That was. Like, well, all right, fair enough then. So
let me just point out real quick that Aurora played alongside a pretty good lineman that we did not even have on this list, Tyler Davis. We're not going to talk about him, but he's a pretty good player. So it doesn't hurt to have talent around you when you're playing. So we talked about Texas having those two guys. We talked about LSU's going to have a couple of guys.
The other dude, yeah.
Right. So Clemson's another one that had two pretty solid defensive linemen on their team this year.
Wow. Okay. So yeah, I mean, maybe it's worth talking about him a little bit later on then.
Sure.
Mason Smith, LSU. Let's talk about the LSU cat right now, man.
And another guy, good player. He's a good player. He has pretty good size. I think he's about 6'4", 300 pounds, but it looks like he can put more weight on. He's got that body where it looks like he could add more weight and not hinder him.
Yeah.
He has good leverage when he plays. Stays low, which I like about him. And then we talked about LSU. There is another guy that we're going to talk about too. But we're going to talk about 3 LSU players, I think, because you covered the other one, right? Did you not?
Yeah, I did. I covered Wingo.
Right. So it's interesting. So, but Smith is a good player. He's going to be a day 3 pick, and he's nothing. He's not. He's not going to be defensive player of the year. I'm not saying he's going to be a stud, but I think he's going to be a good complement player, like Jordan Riley, like we had on the Giants. A guy like that is going to come in. He's going to give you quality snaps. Okay, he's going to do his job. Nothing flashy. He won't be on a highlight reel, but he'll do his job, and that's what you want. That was Bill Belichick's famous line: "Do your job."
Yeah,
and that's what this guy does. He just does his job, and that's what you want to see.
That's what you want to see. Amen. So, what's your projection for him in terms of the round he would go in?
I think day 3. I think he's going to be probably 4th to the 5th round. And again, I think a lot of these guys, and again, the combine will dictate that too, based on how they do. But
yeah,
I just think certain positions are going to shine in the combine. It's going to push these kind of positions back in the draft
for sure.
So it doesn't make them bad players. It's just better value than in the late rounds. That's all.
Yeah. So what about Dwayne Carter out of Duke?
Yeah, right, Duke. We got LSU. We got Clemson. Duke.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a run defense guy. Again, definitely not a 3 tech. I think he's more in line with more over the center between on the tackles, and he's got good strength. He did a good job with his lateral movement. He's not flashy. It's almost like I'm saying the same thing about Smith. He's not flashy. Yeah. He does a good job, and it's good quality for a day 3 pick, which is what I think he's going to be, probably a 5th round. Good day 3 pick. Not a lot to say about these guys, but they're quality players who can make the roster. And again, in today's football, you got to have depth because of injuries, because you can't expect a man that big to play 60 snaps on defenses or more. You have to have, which the league is going to now, more rotational. You got to have that depth, keep guys fresh.
Yeah.
I think that's the way, teams are going with it. It's been doing that for years.
No, absolutely. And then real quick, I mean, I'm not going to discount Duke over the last couple of years. Mike Elko has been their head coach, and he's now the head coach of Texas A&M. And I mean, he did do a good job developing some players, and being a leader of this defense for an up and coming team and a program that was totally out kicking, how good they really should have been with all the money that goes in the program, which is virtually none. It's a basketball school. That's pretty impressive. Like, I'm always a little intrigued by these guys, but you're right. I mean, if he's not showing any level of explosiveness or whatnot, and he's more of a depth guy, then so be it.
Yeah, I don't mean to give disrespect to Duke. I'm kind of like kidding when I say it, but he's a good. And you see, Duke is getting better and better. Duke's going to have a guy going possibly late day 1 on the offensive side of the ball in the trenches. We haven't talked about him yet, but we will from Duke. So they are getting more talent there.
All right, well then let's round this out. There's actually 3 guys from LSU that we're talking about tonight.
Yes.
So tell me something. How does a team operate with 3? They have so many defensive tackles that are good that can get drafted, but you can only have 2 starters. So tell me about
rotation.
They rotated. Okay, hey, listen, we had 3 great defensive ends in the 2000s, didn't we? OC, Strahan, and Tuck. So it certainly happened, but I've never heard of it in college. So tell me about this dude.
Well, here's the guy that you're not going to hear a lot about, and I got to be honest with you. Probably up until 3 weeks ago, I did not know much about him, so I just ran some tape and film on him and read a lot about him. I'm always intrigued, Spartan, when guys make the Bruce Feldman's freak list in football. I'm always intrigued, and I want to read up about these guys. So he did. Jordan Jefferson made the Bruce Feldman freak list, number 71 out of 100. And here's a kid who's good size, 6'4", 320, and he ran a 4.7. Now,
wow,
he was the third wheel on that LSU line. So he kind of took the leftover snaps from the other two guys. He wasn't the stud on the team, but it doesn't mean he can't become a quality player in the NFL.
Yeah.
Okay. And here's a guy projected 6th round or 7th round, but there's a high ceiling of potential here. And that's what I kind of look at with him. When I watch him on film, sometimes I think his biggest problem, I'll just talk about problems. Sometimes he stands tall out of the snap, so you kind of want to see him stay low and drive. Sometimes he stands up too quick and kind of loses that punch, I guess you want to call it. But doesn't give up on plays, which helps because he has that nice speed for a guy his size.
Sure.
So I did see a lot of video of him making tackles, trailing the play. Didn't give up.
Good. Always like to see that, right? I mean, that's critical. That's critical.
Needs to work on technical stuff, hands, very important for a defensive lineman, just like it is for an offensive lineman. And a motor. You got to have heart. I don't know much about him, if he has that, but what I saw on tape, I kind of like. And if he's a 6 or 7 round pick, boy, if I have a pick wasted, not wasting, but it's 6th, 7th round, and I kind of like what I've done until that point. I see something here. I might take a chance on a guy like this.
Yeah, no,
why not?
I'm totally with you. I am totally with you on that. Okay, awesome. Well, look, is there anybody else that you want to talk about real quick that may have been?
Yeah, I did. One guy we didn't talk about, Leonard Taylor out of Miami.
I like the last name Taylor for anybody on defense.
We got Leonard. I like both names. We have Leonard Marshall or LT, right?
Yes, sir.
Put together, you got Leonard Taylor.
Yep.
Good play out of Miami. Another guy who can play 3 tech, has pretty decent size, 6'3", about 305, 310. Very athletic, which is nice to see. Doesn't look stiff when he plays. Actually looks like he can put more weight on. Very, very, probably has a very good ratio of muscle to body fat. I don't know. It just looks that way.
Yeah.
But I like him. He's got good skills. He can do both. He can pass rush and he can stop the run. Not overly great in either of them, but again, these guys are young and they're rookies and they can improve.
Absolutely.
But I do like this guy, and I can see definitely a day 3, a late day 3 pick with him.
Okay. All right, for sure. Well, look, I mean, I'm very interested to see what the Giants do here. Maybe they do end up getting a defensive tackle. Again, I mean, I would argue it's not the most critical need of the Giants right now. But, look, and for the defensive end purposes of securing the 3 tech defensive end, and if any of these guys can translate, then they got to really look into it.
They do, because I don't think they're going to bring a Ward back. Right? Do you? You think they're going to bring Johnny Ward back?
No.
Right. So I really think they need to get a guy like a guy like this, unless they can find someone that's reasonably priced in free agency who could come in there and do a good job. Shore up the edge and give them good sound defensive defense in the running games. The Giants have to get better against the run. And last 2 years, they give up 148 2 years ago and 130 something this year, right? Yards again.
Yeah.
We talk about Wink. We're going to miss him, but you know what? If we can stop the run, Giant fans aren't going to miss Wink. If Bowen can stop the run and
totally
limit
agree.
It, so So listen, we got some talent here, guys, at defense, and now we're going to be picking up. We're going to get some defensive ends. We're going to talk about some corners coming up. So this is some areas where the Giants are going to probably be looking into, I think.
Yeah. Well, I'm super excited. So, Truth, again, thanks for another great episode, man. I love doing this with you. And to all the Giants fans out there, hey, look, appreciate you all for tuning in tonight.
Yeah, the guys these guys today, man. Thank you. You guys gave some good information.
Yeah,
some good comments. I love it. Like to get some of these guys on a draft show if we can.
Yeah, we got to get Crypto on one of these days too. I mean, Crypto, I don't even know what you look like, brother. We got to reveal you. It'll be a grand reveal, all right?
Crypto.
But like tonight was the most active the comment section was, even though it's most likely one of the least. It might just end up being the least watched due to the fact that it's defensive tackles, and I'm okay with that. But the fact that this is popping off tonight, I do appreciate that, guys. Love you guys coming through and commenting.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, guys. Well, look, you have a great night, and go Giants to see what happens here.
Yep. See you guys.